Okay, this is how we're going to do two color brioche flat. Okay, it's a little bit different than working two color brioche in the round because every row you're actually going to do twice. You're going to do it once with color A and then once with color B. And you can see on the bottom we have our I-cord cast on, which I showed you how to do in the previous video. And then this section right here is going to be the decreases and increases that we'll be doing. And it makes a little X. You're going to have this on the first half of your scarf, and then it'll go to just the brioche rib, and then on the other half of your scarf at the end you'll have another one of these lovely X's. And you'll also see how on the side we have an I-cord border. So it gives you a nice rounded edge all the way around your work. So let's go ahead and show you how to do the setup row. So for color A, we have already knit 3 stitches. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the purl 1, slip 1 yarn over, purl 1 to last 3 stitches, and then we're going to continue. Now if you want to put a marker at the end for the 3 stitches on each side, you can. They will always be slipped. You don't have to. You'll need markers later on once we get into the increases and decrease section. So this is just the setup row. So we did one where we knit our 3, and now we're going to purl 1 and then slip 1 yarn over. So we'll purl 1, and then again the yarn's in the front. We're going to slip 1 as if we purl, and then we're going to wrap the yarn around just once. So we bring it from the front to the back, between the needles to the front again. So it just makes one loop, but you'll see that there's an X over here. So we're going to do that all the way around. So we're going to purl 1, and then we slip 1, yarn over, and purl the next one. We're going to do that until we get to 3 stitches before the end. And all we're doing is we purl 1, we slip 1, wrap the yarn around, and purl the next one. And you may be asking yourself, why are we working a scarf that is going to be flat on circular needles? And just like the I-cord cast on that we did, you will be slipping your stitches. Okay, now I looked here and I forgot my yarn over. This one was supposed to be a yarn over. Okay. So I purled 1, slip 1 yarn over. Okay. Got 1, 2, 3. Gotta do 2 more. And then we are going to knit the last 3 stitches. No, I'm sorry, we're not going to knit the last 3 stitches. We are going to move the yarn to the front, and we're just going to slip as if we're purling the last 3 stitches. So our yarn for color A, which is the first color that we used, is just going to hang out right over here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to slide all the stitches back without turning. We're never going to turn in this work. We're just going to slide the stitches, or for right now we're not turning. So we're sliding the stitches back. And we're going to grab our second color. Okay, so we have our second color, and we are back to the very beginning. Our working yarn is still all the way at the end of the row on the left, and we're starting the row over. So with this, we're going to knit the first 3 stitches. So we're just going to go in as if we're knitting, wrap the yarn around, and then bring the yarn through. Okay, we're going to knit the next 2 stitches also, and then I'll show you how you can secure your yarn. So at this point, if you want to just make a simple knot between your tail and the tail of the new yarn, just one knot, that'll hold it secure while we're working, and then at the end we're going to weave in our ends. Okay, so the second half of the setup, now we've knit 3. Now we're going to slip one with the yarn in front like we've been doing. And then we're going to do our brioche knit stitch. And that is where we're going to knit the yarn over and the stitch as one. And then we're going to slip one with the yarn forward to wrap around. And then we knit. So again, yarn comes forward. We slip one as if we purl. We wrap the yarn around, and then we knit the next stitch. So we slip one, we wrap the yarn around, and then we knit. So you're actually going to be doing each row twice. You do it once with color A, and then once with color B, and then you turn your work to work the other row, the next row. So the way that the pattern is, it's row 1, and then it says light side, light color, and then the other one will be row 1, and then light side, dark color. So the light color and the dark color is color 1 and color 2. Okay. So we wrap around and we knit. And we're going to do this all the way to the end, and then we're going to slip the last 3 stitches. So throughout the whole scarf, the first 3 stitches are going to be knit. The last 3 stitches are going to be slipped with the yarn in front. So you're actually doing that I-cord binding all the way on each edge. And you'll see how that looks in 1 second. Okay. And then the yarn comes forward. Oh, you got to do one more. You got to slip the last stitch. Yarn comes forward, and then you're just going to slip over these last 3. Okay, and then we're going to turn. Now it doesn't matter, you don't have to trap your yarn at all when you're changing colors. That doesn't really come into play at all. Just you're always going to start with your color A first. So since I started with the light color, that is always going to be the color that I do at the beginning of the row. Whether it's a wrong side row or a right side row, even though the fabric's reversible, there's really no right side and wrong side. So we just did the 2 setup rows, and now let's do the first part of row 1, okay, which is with color A, which is our first color. We are going to knit the first 3 stitches. Okay, and then you'll see we're already set up with one of our crosses. So we have a slip stitch and a yarn over. So right away we're going to do a brioche knit. And then we're going to slip one with the yarn in front, and then we're just going to continue doing that all the way across. So slip one, yarn over, and then knit all the way. And I'll come back to you at the end of this row. Okay, so I finished this row. And if you put your work down and you're not really sure where you're starting or where you're going again, I recommend trying not to put it down when you're halfway through one row. Try to finish the 2 passes so that you get your 1 row done. But if you look, you'll always have slip stitches at the end of the row and knit stitches at the beginning of the row. Okay, so let's slide our needles down and work the second pass of the first row. With your tails, the yarn can get a little bit tangled. Okay. So again, we're going to knit the first 3 stitches. And then we are going to start with a slip 1 yarn over, and then we're going to do the brioche purl. So we move the yarn to the front, slip 1 yarn over, and then purl, brioche purl. And we're going to do that all the way to the end, and you'll see that the brioche is starting to emerge now. When you look at it, you can start to see the little ribbing form. Okay, now if you need to undo anything, if you need to go backwards, what you're going to do is, if you lift the yarn up a little bit, you'll see right underneath here there's kind of a triangle, and you're going to insert the hook from the front to the back into that stitch. You want to make sure that when you undo the stitch, you keep the yarn over. You don't want to lose the yarn over. And then you can just slip the other stitch over. So again, when we're undoing, if you lift the yarn up, you'll see underneath here kind of makes a little hole, and you stick the needle from the front to the back, and then you've got your yarn over and your stitch. So that's how we undo it, a stitch at a time. Okay, and we're going to continue doing the slip 1 yarn over and then brioche purl until we get to the last 3 stitches. You're going to put the yarn to the front and then slip the last 3 stitches of the row. Okay, so the next row that you're going to do now, we turn, and again you're going to start with your first color. And if you ever forget what your first color is, if you just have a brain fart and you can't remember, you're going to just look to whatever color your I-cord is at the bottom. That's your first color. Okay, and you're going to do the same thing with the 1 pass and then come back for the next pass. So this row we would slip, and we're going to start, and you can actually look at the ribbing now. As you see the ribbing coming, you'll see that this looks like a purl, and then this looks like a knit. So on this row, since the first one that looks like a purl, okay, is white, okay, you'll be purling, you'll be making the white stitch on the back. So for this row, you're going to start off with the purl 1 brioche, and then slip 1, and then brioche purl, and then go across. And then your next row you'll do with the other color. Okay, now you can continue doing this. You don't have to work the increases at all to get that X. This will be a nice, it'll be a nice shawl, and it'll nice scarf that's reversible, and you can do a whole scarf just this way with the 2 color brioche. If you want to do the X with the decreases and the increases, that'll be in the next video.